I'm Dana Holgorsen. When disaster strikes your home or business, tell your insurance provider you prefer the restoration company the Mountaineers call. Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. Maybe one of the more exciting locker rooms I've seen in quite some time. You know, it just seemed like we couldn't do anything to catch breaks and all that. And, you know, give Texas Tech a ton of credit because we were ready to play this game, and our crowd was great, and the student section was great. Weather was great. Homecoming, couldn't ask for anything better, and our guys were excited about it and was ready to play. That group over there was too, you know, so give Cliff a lot of credit. He's improved his football team. That's the best Tech team I've seen, top to bottom, since I've been here. So give him credit for that. But you know, things weren't going great, as we all know. But our guys just kept fighting, kept hanging in there, kept fighting. And you know, we finished for the first time this year in a close game. And you can't just pinpoint one side of the ball for that. You got to do that all the way around. I thought for the last quarter, we were obviously much better than they were at that. It was about the only quarter we were better than them. But that's besides the point. Won by 11 points. Take some questions.
Dana, so defensively for 3 quarters you struggled, but then all of a sudden just stuffed them in the fourth. What, any difference or just played different?
I think momentum has a lot to do with that. They ran the ball well. It's like they figured out how to run the ball, and we figured out how not to run the ball. A lot of that is they put a lot of numbers in there, you know, and that's why we threw for quite a bit. But you know, they just, you know, I think momentum had a lot to do with it. We weren't playing great on offense or in the kicking game in that first half either for 3 quarters. And then we just said, you know, we decided to start playing there for the fourth quarter. Why, I don't know. I think probably our opponent has something to do with that. They came in here with a lot of momentum. You know, a lot of people thought they were going to win. You know, they haven't won in 3 years. It was important to them. So, you know, I just think it took a little bit of time. We gained some momentum, and then it just kind of steamrolled from there. I think, as we all know, football is a emotional sport, and it's a momentum sport. So once that thing kind of flipped to us, we were ready to take it and run with it. So I give our players a lot of credit. I challenged them at halftime, and I just told them there was a point in the third quarter I didn't know if they had it in them, just because it wasn't happening. But then all of a sudden it happened, and our players hung in there, and they seized that opportunity, and they played really, really, really good team football for a quarter and won by 11.
They did the 4th and 1. We at the 17.
Yeah, I was trying to. I didn't want to challenge it because I was just looking for a better spot. I didn't want to challenge it because I didn't want to lose that challenge. So I called timeout to give them time to look at it, and they weren't getting budged. And I know they were looking at it. They just weren't getting budged, and so there was kind of some downtime there where all 5 of our offensive linemen yelled at me and talked me into going for it. And they had that kind of confidence, and at that point in the game, you know, I was more interested in taking the lead than tying the game. Didn't think the scoring was over. So they talked me into it, and I said, okay, it's on y'all's shoulders. And we got about an inch more than we needed. So I give them credit for having that kind of confidence.
In terms of that turnaround on all 3 sides of the ball that you're talking about, can you recall a bigger one in your career?
I mean, yeah. I don't really want to talk about any of them, but I always have hope, you know, and remain optimistic. It takes a little bit more than me, but yeah, I mean, we've been down 35 points before in the fourth quarter and won. So I don't even know what we were down. What were we down? 14? Were we ever down 14?
18.
We were down 18? Really? Oh, that's pretty good.
Second largest ever.
Well, geez, there you go. I guess I should probably make a big deal about that. You get caught up in you don't get caught up in how much you're down. You get caught up in what's the flow of the game, and just encourage guys to keep playing and remain optimistic. And then when momentum comes your way, you just got to go with it. And that does have that does have a tendency to just kind of roll, kind of steamroll into that type situation. So, yeah, down 18 in the fourth, come back from that, that's pretty good news. Not surprising to me, and not surprising to anybody in that locker room.
Did it say anything to you before the game that the teams had a scuffle? And
No, I mean, look, me and Cliff are like as tight as anybody, and when two guys that are pretty close and the Spavs are pretty close and their O-line coach and myself, it goes on, and my history with Tech, and, they needed to win. I mean, it was mentioned that we took their field last year, and we did, and their coaches weren't happy with that, and so probably reminded them about not only us taking their field, but also what we did to them for 4 quarters. This was an important game for them, and they were ready to play, and I give their coaches a lot of credit for getting their guys ready to play, but I had a feeling that was coming. And, I think our guys have been there. That's happened a couple of times last year, which I don't promote that. That hasn't happened this year at all. It wasn't surprising that it was a little chippy early. I thought it was a fairly clean game. I'm not talking penalties. I'm just talking. I didn't see anything cheap. I mean, I'm not talking about penalties. There was a lot of penalties, and we'll address it and look at it and coach off of it and all that. But I didn't see anything inappropriate, from a personal foul perspective. Even Kaiser's early, I thought it was minimal.
Dana, for most of the season, you've been balanced offensively. This one, you had to rely on the pass game. Did you know you could be that good if you didn't really have a run game to support?
Yeah, I'm not happy about that at all. And I saw it coming last week, and you put on the tape, and you're saying, geez, Tech's got 4 big, large D linemen that they squeeze gaps with, and their backers are good now. I'm telling them, two are good players. They make a lot of tackles, and we didn't do a very good job running the ball. It's as much as we've worked on being able to run the ball, that's unacceptable. Now, it got going a little bit better in the fourth quarter, okay, which is good, but it's going to get addressed, because you can't just sit there and say, well, your running back's got to do a better job. It ain't them. Everything starts up front, and I don't think we're run blocking very good at all. And that'll get addressed, because we got to be able to run the ball better than we did today.
On that drive to ice, you had Kennedy in there. Was that the plan?
We're going to play more than one person. I mean, we have the luxury to be able to do that. I thought Kennedy came in and was fresh and sparked us late. I thought Justin was one of the more vocal guys that we had in the locker room at halftime. And he came out and had a really good demeanor to him. Even though he didn't get the ball as much as he wanted and have the production that he expects to have, his attitude was really, really, really good. Very instrumental in us being able to do what we did in the fourth quarter. But with that said, we're going to always play 3.
If there was a moment that you could pick out when you looked at your team, when did you see that look in their eye and said, we're going back?
I don't know. I mean, I was so caught up in the game. I can tell you there's 3 or 4 moments in the third quarter I was looking at them saying, I don't know if this is going to happen, but then it turned, and it felt good. So I don't know. I'd have to look. I always look at the game in its entirety, and I'll do that tonight and tomorrow, and there'll be probably a point where I can pinpoint, but I couldn't tell you that right now.
Was this a game where Karan White finally arrived?
I think so. He looked good, and he had a great week of practice. The last 2 weeks he's been. Keep in mind he missed all spring, So the relationship and timing with him and Will has taken a little bit longer than Will and David and Gary, based on the fact that Will had a spring with those guys. So there is some times in camp where Will was frustrated that timing didn't exist. It's just taken a little bit longer than we would have liked it, but it looks pretty good now. It really does. I thought he was one of the differences in the game.
For as short a time as David Sells has been playing wide receiver, is it surprising how good he's gotten at some of the techniques, some of maybe unnoticed things?
It's not surprising to me. I've had confidence in that kid. I mean, the story's been told 1,000 times. I've had confidence in him since the day he got here, but he is one of the hardest working kids, most motivated, hardest working kids that I've been around. And his football intelligence is really good, and his work ethic is really good. And he thinks he's the baddest dude on the field. He really does. His mentality is they can't cover me, they can't guard me. I am the baddest dude on the field. And that's his mentality. I mean, what did he catch, 3 more today? Yeah, 3 more touchdowns. Pretty good. But no, it's not surprising to me. And I think he's going to continue to get better and better.
Dana, your 2-point play, I don't know the last time you guys ran one.
I hate him.
It's
part of why we don't run them. I hate them. But obviously that was the right situation to do it. I wish we would have been able to call that play at the end of the Virginia Tech game or the end of the TCU game. But we've had them in our back pocket. And, just the situation hasn't been there to use it. That was clearly the situation to use it to get within a field goal.
How do you miss quick? How often do you work on that stuff to set it up?
Every week.
Where are you picking from to retrieve that quickly?
It's there's some things I miss about calling plays, some things I don't miss about calling plays. That's number one on the list of things I don't miss about calling plays. It's hard. I mean, those things are hard, In all seriousness, I spent some time at Pittsburgh with Tomlin, and they do that 2-point play thing all the time. It's a competition thing, and we do it a lot just because I've forced our guys to do it. You got to be able to get them when you need them, and you got to be able to defend them when it's time to defend them. And we've worked a lot of that because you never know when you're going to need it.